ready to do a raid. I was gonna send it right now for the boys, but I gotta make a video about the post instead. So for those that you know were wanting to see my proof that I know how to do raids, well, you're just gonna have to wait a little bit longer because we got a little bit of news to talk about because Jagex just updated their raids blog that we covered it in a video last week. You may have watched it, you may have hated it. I have haters everywhere, I've learned, because I made a video about that blog post last week, and then I got a lot of comments talking about me just rambling on, and this was a 16-minute concise video. I cut it down so much, and then someone even had the gall, someone had the chutzpah to say, I'm gonna go watch this guy instead. I think his name was King of Cosmos, King of Condoms, something. I have no disrespect towards the guy, I don't know him, but he said I was rambling, and this man made a video, a 50-minute video about the same topic that I covered. So you tell me, brother. We're not going to waste any time. Their proposal that we discussed last week clearly missed the mark. And I feel like they're saying this more times than not now with any blog post, any update they do. I feel like they walk back something one way or another. Whether it's for a good or a bad, I feel like they really, which, I mean, I get it. That's the whole point of, you know, old school RuneScape and their community is we vote on these things. We have our say, which is sick. But at the same time, I feel like no one's ever going to be happy no matter what. And I think the sooner that Jagex realizes that, I mean, the better. I mean, I know they've kind of walked back their polling process in the you know, recent months because now they have to have like a higher threshold for things to pass or to not pass, which is great. It's freaking fantastic if you ask me. But clearly, my video that I posted last week has changed their mind, and now, I'm just joking, by the way, they have said that beyond the nitty-gritty of what cost feels appropriate, tweaking specific numbers of certain things like scouting and scaling is what's being, you know, highly debated here. They debated us by saying that the scouting cost, or the scaling cost, rather, remember how it was, like, supposed to go up, like, 100K per, like, group member that you're with, then down per 1K for the next member, so, like, you had to pay like this lump sum for anything to matter at all. Well, now they're walking that back. The way they worded the news post last week really seemed like Jagex was not a fan of making these updates. They didn't really want people to be able to just have the same exact raid every single time. The whole point of this raid was to have that randomness, that random generator, or that random feeling, rather, of being able to, you know, have this new brand adventure every time you do a raid. So clearly they weren't really into the whole idea, and I had a feeling, I had a little inkling, a little tiny bit, a tidbit of feeling that this might happen because they were kind of overall, it seemed like they weren't into it either, and they're clearly doing a lot of this to make players happy, which is fantastic. Or the player base, rather, felt that the whole thing felt a little backwards doing things in this order, suggesting that instead they make changes to the rooms, trying to actually update the content. Then maybe there wouldn't be the need for scouting. Then maybe we'd be able to, you know, actually enjoy doing the raid, which I know is a foreign concept, enjoying RuneScape content. What? Excuse me, what game is this? World of Warcraft? I've never played that game. So, basically, instead of just doing random custom layouts, they're going to kind of table that idea and maybe come back to it at a later date. They're instead going to change their approach and try to do what they can in the amount of time that they've promised these changes already. So they're kind of reverting a little bit of what they've promised. They're changing their tactics just a little bit, and they're going to try to kind of go back to what their original plans were. And a lot of that is because they don't want, you know, to make scouting feel less necessary. It's likely that players are still going to be content with a variety of layouts, which we already have. If you remember, we talked about that kind of rotation table where you have like specific layouts that you can adjust, hence where scouting kind of comes from to begin with, which makes it more palatable to reduce associated costs, which is, again, that's really the bigger, I guess, downside here, or the negative that a lot of players felt, was that the overall cost would to make it a more lightweight approach. Ronnie Coleman, lightweight baby. So to just kind of make it a more a feasible thing in the future, ideally in time for you to enjoy them in the part of Leagues 4. Oh, so maybe they're wanting to have this done before Leagues is out. Is that the idea? I didn't know it was going to be that soon, actually, because that's, you know, November 15th. They've got about a month to crack down on these changes. So hey, fingers crossed. Fingers Fingers crossed. So, deliver a full scouting overhaul and improvements to the various rooms within the time frame. So, those are still their things they want to try to achieve. So before we jump into all the potential changes, and they have a survey down below, which I'm not going to take part in. No, I'm kidding. I will, dude. I'll do the survey. I just am not going to film me doing the survey. That probably won't make for the best juicy content. You might be wondering what we're doing for scaling. This is the big one right here, since many of you weren't happy with the costs associated. Oh, really? Oh, really? Can you believe that? They weren't happy with the cost. What, 100K per player? You don't think that seems like a little high? And I'm not a little high, not right now at least. Instead, pointing out that the difficulty is the cost is the same way that increasing your raid level at Tombs of Mascot doesn't charge you a flat fee, which makes sense. I mean, again, I'm not a big raid person here. I don't really know how big of a deal that would have been, but I can just assume, as a bystander, as a person with not a lot of cash flow, I can just kind of see that would get, well, this doesn't really add up with the rest of the rating. I don't really know how Theater of Blood works either, but I know you don't really have to pay a lot of money for that one, so it just kind of makes sense that players would be upset. Players be mad no matter what, but this really be making players mad. So, and then finally they say, knowing that, keeping that in mind, scaling your raids up will be free. Huge! Huge, Jagex. Though we will be keeping an eye on this one whenever we roll the changes out. So perhaps it's not going to stay that way. They might be making some future adjustments. Talking about, you know, if it becomes out of hand or if it just becomes like, I think they were trying to make another item sync or another gold sync perhaps, trying to help keep the economy where it is and keep it stable, but I don't know. What do I know? I'm just a bald guy that plays RuneScape on occasion and does raids. I got a freaking dwarf following me. Get out of here, dude. I got time for this. I'm doing a freaking video. Go away. So, are you kind of following me so far? Basically, it seems like they're kind of walking back on basically the scaling aspect as of right now. They might change it in the future depending on how things work, how players, you know, get involved with this update, and they're going to be working on the scouting. That's still the main thing that we're wanting to update, and Jagex is working with us on here, how to update it and what they kind of think they can do in the future, which I'm going to be interested to see where they go and kind of how they do it, because it's kind of a big deal. I know that Jagex doesn't want to do it. They clearly are showing that this isn't something that they're super fond of, but, you know, the players want it, and unfortunately, players rule all. Like Walmart, the customer's always right. And then finally, lo and behold, here comes the almighty tool that Jagex is not afraid to throw out, the survey. So, with this new approach they're playing, all their new changes, they're going to survey us on their backlog of their most recent player suggestions. Wow, that's pretty sweet, huh? Figure out what's well received, okay? Pull the changes properly, not fake, not lie. I trust you. And then roll them out in an order of priority that's supported by the survey. I know how to read English. So, while of course their course of action is to now try and touch up the bad parts of Chambers, rather than allowing us to basically just scout them and circumvent them, go around them, right? We're trying to just not do them at all. Jagex is like, whoa, buddy. How about instead of skipping them altogether, we'll try to make them a little bit more enjoyable. We'll try to make them more fun, so you don't want to just skip them and not play them, because we made them so you would enjoy them. We don't want you to just never do them ever, and we say, nice try, buddy. Just scout them. Let me scout them, please. Let me scout. Now, this is a very hefty survey, and I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not going to bore you by doing it right now with you, because you're not going to like my responses, I have a feeling. But it is embedded in the news post, which is kind of cool, and they have a bunch of different questions. Hold on, let me look at number one. Which of the following best describes your experience with Chambers of Xeric? Oh, I'm comfortable with everything. 51 to 100 KC. Alright, 1 to 20 KC. So anyway, there's the survey. If you want to go, you better get on the news post now and make your voice be heard. Don't just sit on the sidelines. Make sure if you're a big Chambers of Xeric guy, or girl, you want to get in there, because I don't know how long the survey is going to last. I think they normally run them for like a week or so. About a week or so, but, you know, don't miss out, man. So, and then it's like they know I'm reading. Maybe you're not in the mood to fill out a survey. Here's kind of the list of changes that they're offering right now. And they have it in a nice little graph for us to see. So they have a category for the room, so like general, prep, getting everything ready, and what their proposed changes are. And then some of their notes that they have listed for each of them. Now, I'm not going to go through every single one of them, because I don't want to ramble. I don't want to make a 2-hour-long video. But let's go through them just very briefly. Let's check the important ones. Let's check the ones that matter the most to me and you, but mostly me. Oh, it's like they're calling me out right here in one of the general prep rooms. Isn't it funny how one of the rooms I'm most experienced with is the prep room? Shut up, dude! Speed up growth time for Bucci. That's great. We all have the one iron friend we raid with who clears the goal par too early. Alright, there's no need to just at me, Jagex, okay? I know I made a video on the last raids update, but you don't gotta call me out like this, dude. Okay, and then general supply drops. This is another big one. Irons get this already. Iron privilege. Non-irons have to pick up the drops and then drop them again. Let's make them more consistent. That just makes sense. That's just good sense, Jagex. I respect that one. Jagex made a good update. 2023 challenge. Not impossible. And then the almighty Tecton. Reduce the defensive capabilities in both regular and champion mode raids. That's pretty huge. They say they have a number of avenues to explore for this, while one is arguably one of the most long-standing pain points. That's why I made sure to cover Tecton. Elder Maul hits are reducing his overall special attack, Tecton's crush defense, just making him less tanky and more actually possible and more fun to, I guess, get through without, having like a farmer foe and getting one tapped by him. That was ripped to a real one. And then you got my man's Mutadiles, anyway, there's so many different changes they're doing to them. Like I said, I'm not going to cover every single one of them. You should go check out the news post if you want. I'll link it in the description even, because I freaking love you so much. But they're wanting to reduce the different variances of chopping the meat tree. What a great sentence. Removing his damage immunity when eating from the trees, and reducing the damage taken by players at Mutadiles. All huge updates. These would make Mutadile much more fun for me to do especially. These are all changes I requested personally. So Jagex does listen, you can't say that. Then they have some more Vespula, add a guaranteed overload drop. Hey, I like that. Tweak Vespula's mechanics without impacting the redemption method. They asked 100 raiders. They didn't ask me how to do Vespula without using redemption. 76 said they didn't know. 22 said they'd never seen Vespula. Oh, they did ask me. Oh, they did ask me. Alright, and so to finish up here, the aim of these changes, like they say, is to make some of the less popular rooms feel like more of a choice than a chore. And I really do think that that's Jagex's overall arcing goal here. Because, like we saw in the last post, they really don't like the idea of you choosing to do the same raid every single time. They want that variety, they want that randomness, they want that uniqueness to each adventure, and that's kind of their overall thing here, and the point they're trying to make. So maybe it's not even like a player thing that was like, we don't want this to be happening. We don't like these changes. Maybe Jagex is just kind of sliding that in there. Maybe Jagex is trying to say, oh, the player base said this, so instead, we are just going to make the changes we wanted to make from the beginning. Kind of like I said last week. Maybe. We'll say it every blog, but we mean it when we say that we really value your feedback. Oh, do you, Jagex? We don't always get things bang on the first time around. Now, I'm not saying that. I think that the scouting decision was going to be fine, but as we know, players, especially old school RuneScape players, are never happy. So what do you think now that we've had some updated changes? Do you think that they are better now? You think that they are better now, even though I'm not around? Sorry to quote Post Malone there. What do you think? So really, I think overall that these changes are going to be for the better. The player base may not be happy that they're kind of side-skirting the scouting changes that they had originally planned on, but I think that in time, if the player base is voicing their opinion loud enough, they might eventually come to them. But I know Jagex doesn't want to do that, so they may never. They might just kind of stick with the changes they're making now, based on the different rooms, trying to help improve them where they can. So, there's my 2 cents. I'm gonna go do a freaking raid now in celebration. You wanna watch? Oh, you can't watch this high-level gameplay, dude. I gotta stop the video now, actually. It's crazy. I hope you enjoyed, everyone. Thank you so much for all the support on all of the videos lately. It's been really humbling. I appreciate all of the comments. I read every single one of them, even if they are, calling me a homophobic slur or telling me that I ramble, even though I make the most concise video out there about the certain topic, but I'm not saying names, dude. I'm not freaking saying names. But you know who you freaking are, Joseph. You know who you are. I see you. Anyway, enjoy the video. I hope you did enjoy the video, and I'll see you next time. Hopefully maybe something different besides a RuneScape news video, but they're just so fun to make, and I'm freaking enjoying it. Bye! I accidentally hit the pause button. I'm not going to end it like that. That was weird. I'm just going to say bye!